Hi, this is Jaini Jailin, and I'm doing the Casual Ambassador Incantation, Module 5. So I have a list of questions here that I'm going to read out, and I'm going to be answering them. Isn't this like energy reading? Yes and no. There are other models that attempt to read the energetic manifestations or emanations of a person, such as Reiki or Kundalini. However, none of these other models can read the core essence engine that is driving all of a person's energetic flow. That's why none of these other models can perform the feat of empirically reading a person's cognitive, innate cognitive configuration, nor do they have the cohesion of opinion that would go along with it. Isn't this like face reading? Yes and no. There are other models that attempt to read the physiological cues that are coming from a person's face, such as microexpressions or Chinese face reading. In Podler, we read the physiological cues in both the face and the entire body. More importantly, none of these models acknowledge or know how to observe the qualia that is the driver of the physiological cues that are being manifested and that intrinsically informs on all of their meanings. This is why none of these models are able to perform the feat of empirically reading a person's innate cognitive configuration, nor do they have the cohesion of opinion that would go along with it. Okay? Isn't this like typology? Not really. Typology models use questionnaire evaluations and personal opinion to try and fit you into conjectured stereotypical personality descriptions as their way of determining a person's innate cognitive configuration. Whereas Podler is directly observing the physiological cues that are being manifested specifically because of a person's innate cognitive configuration or mojo, their mojo. That's why none of these models are able to perform the feat of empirically reading a person's innate cognitive configuration, nor do they have the cohesion of opinion that would go along with it. I think I've taken one of these at school. These are their attempts at getting at a person's innate nature, and they fail and will always fail because of two fundamental fatal flaws. Flaw number one is using questionnaire evaluations over direct empirical observation. The flaw number two is putting the final determination of the innate nature in the hands of the personal opinion of the subject. That would be like asking a person what their blood type is without, when they had no idea what it was because they'd never been tested using any empirical procedures. Podler does not consider itself a typology model, but it can easily see what they're trying to do and correct their work. I think I know what I am. Perhaps you know what your innate nature is, but you should be aware that only around 25% of people can accurately guess their mojo. And that continues on, that inability to read continues on to their friends, to all of their friends, family, and lovers, because they haven't had the proper training. And also these very personal cases are often the most difficult for experienced readers. And this inability to read also extends beyond that, past to larger bubbles that they're aware of, such as pop culture or nationality, which is evidenced by the widespread microcosm syndrome, misperceptions of rarity, and so on. What is the microcosm syndrome? There's a trend that we've noted, which is that in most bubbles, including families, that there are only very few different mojo designs that comprise them. Conversely, most people are under the false impression that most bubbles are comprised of many more different mojo designs than they actually are. This is due to riff variations, which can be extreme, and also the fact that there are differences between people of the same mojo design that are being accentuated and heightened due to familiarity and proximity. And that's that.